Hey there. So when it comes to settings on the Hive and PvP, there are lots of things that you can talk about. For one, FOV. I'm gonna get this one out of here. Alright, I'm gonna explain this one as fast as possible. Alright, now I know I said I was gonna explain it really quickly, but I have a Discord server. Link is in the description and probably in the pinned comment too. Go join it if you want to talk to me. Go join it, please. I'm desperate. We need members. And back to the FOV talk. My FOV is 80. I've been using 80 FOV for a long time, and I kind of temporarily switched to 90 FOV a few months ago, and I didn't like it. 90 is sort of pretty good, everyone uses 90, but I find myself to like 80 more. When it comes to what settings you use in Minecraft, it really does come down to personal preference. For example, some people like to use max FOV, which those people are just insane. I don't know how they do it, I don't know why they like doing that, they are just crazy. While other players like using low FOV because it makes it easier for them to hit their opponents since they're bigger on the screen. But I also don't like small FOV because it kind of looks like those cameras that cost like $7,000 that you can like zoom in for like 90 miles and still have like a clear picture. Like, I don't like low FOV because it just looks like Optifine zoom. Another thing that I kind of don't like about low FOV is that it kind of makes you like, you don't actually walk slower, but it just feels like you're walking slower since you have a smaller field of view, if you know what I mean. Depending on your screen size, you kind of want to change your FOV. I use a 24-inch monitor, so I use 80. 90 is also alright, but if you use like a small switch screen or a phone screen, you might want to go with 80 because that just, is default on those and it seems alright. Like I've said, most of the settings that you're gonna use for PvP are basically up to personal preference. Now we go to hotkeys. I don't really use hotkeys as much anymore because I'm not really that into Hive, as much as I was a few months back. But for the most part, I really only have two buttons on the side of my mouse, which I use to go to my ender pearls and to my snowballs. One thing that I'll recommend for you to have if you want to do like ender pearl clutches is to have a hotkey for your ender pearls, because if you're going to scroll wheel all the way to your ender pearls and they're not in a convenient location and you're going to try to clutch, it's going to be incredibly difficult. For high PvP especially, the two hotkeys that you're going to want to have is something for snowballs and something for like your ender pearls, considering how Hive PvP works and just knockback in general, Because when you're fighting on Hive, you get knocked farther up than you get knocked to the side, which is pretty good for comboing. So if you're stuck in a combo, using a snowball or even an ender pearl to get out of it is a pretty good idea, especially if you have absolutely nothing else to get out of the combo with. Besides the two buttons on the side of my mouse that I use to, sort of hotkey to my pearls and snowballs, I also have them for my 4th and 5th slots in my inventory, because I like to do this one thing where when I'm bridging and someone's chasing me, I switch over to crumbling cobblestone, so that maybe if they're dumb, if they're stinky, stupid, and bad, I can sort of trick them into just falling in the void casually. I mean, it like never works at all. Like there's like a 0% chance of it happening, but sometimes you'll get a dumb player and they'll just jump in. Now I know that not everyone can use hotkeys because some people are on like controller, and trust me, I feel the pain. I used to play on a Nintendo Switch, but you can actually buy controllers that have like buttons on the back. Like, they're kind of weird, but they kind of give you like 2 extra hotkeys to play around with. So if you want to use some of those hotkeys that I talked about, just buy one of those controllers. Now one last thing that I want to talk about, that it's kind of a small thing. It's kind of not a big thing, but if you think that your inventory, like if your hotbar, like just the menus in general are too big, there's this one setting in video settings, I think, where it's like GUI scale modifier, and you can choose between 0 and -1. Now I have it set at -1, and it was kind of hard to adapt to at first, but like honestly, it's really good. It makes the chest smaller, like all the chest menus smaller, so you can see people sneaking up behind you if you're in a chest. All the menus are just smaller, and I would definitely recommend just setting it to -1, because it's hard to adapt to at first, but once you do, it'll be much better. Also, one last thing, view bombing. Now, I used to have this turned off because I thought it was quite distracting, and if you don't know what view bobbing is, it's basically where when you're holding an item or your hand or your fist or anything like that, right? Whenever you walk, it kind of just bobs back and forth. Alright, it kind of just moves. It kind of just grooves, alright? I used to have it turned off, like I said, because I thought it was a bit distracting, but I turned it back on just for no real reason. Just because, really. I guess that concludes it. Alright, it's not a long video. And I'm not especially proud of this one, because, you know, it's just a filler video, but, like, what am I gonna do on the Hive? There's, like, nothing on the Hive. There's nothing. No content on the Hive that I can currently make. And it is kind of infuriating that the Hive's not coming out with anything, so please, Hive, even if it's an LTM, I'm desperate. Just get something out. Feed the dogs, please.